What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Tales related video. Now, I haven't really done a video like this in quite a while just because I was pretty much at the point, just, mentally, where I was just like, all right, you know what? Tales of Arise will come when it comes. If there's any news, I will cover it, and if there's no news, then I will not talk about it because obviously that game has gone through development hell. So, I'm not just going to be talking about Tales of Arise here. We're just going to talk about everything Tales related when it comes to Tales Fest in general. And at first, I want to say, I know it says Tales Fest 2020, but that's because we did not have Tales Fest last year, so they are still treating this as Tales Fest 2020. And I think in I think before the end of 2021, they will have Tales Fest 2021, if I remember correctly of how that was going to work. But Tales Fest, basically 2021, 2020, whatever, is going to start on the 6th of March. So that is next Saturday. So that's what? A week and like 2 days away. So like 9 days from now. So yeah. So there is a online thing you can do. You can, if you don't mind dealing with all the Japanese stuff, you can buy an online ticket to view the whole festival. I believe it's like $50 per day. Obviously, uh, translated from Japanese amounts of yen, it's pretty much $50 per day. But if you're just gonna, if you're gonna be like me and just kind of wait for the news as it comes out, you should start. You're not gonna hear about everything on the 6th and 7th because they're gonna have like embargoes of what can be shared, but I'm sure you'll see people talk about it anyway, because I mean, how can they really stop people from talking about it? So that's when that's gonna happen. Now, of course, it's going to have your usual stuff, which it's not all just going to be like game news and stuff like that. Tales Fest is for celebrating the series. So there's really just going to be minimal stuff probably towards the end of each day where they're like, oh yeah, we're coming out with this, this, and that. And then the same thing for like the mobile games and whatever other side stuff they have, CDs, merchandise, all that good stuff. But for the most part, it's celebrating the series. So if you don't hear about Tales of Arise release date, an hour after the festival starts, then don't lose your head over it because that's not the main reason for Tales Fest. And that's the big misconception people have. Obviously here in the West, when we have these kind of festivals, it's usually always get straight to the point. What are we getting? But in Japan, these kinds of festivals, it's for, fans to hang out. Normally, when there's not a pandemic going on, people go to Tales Fest in Japan. They hang out with other fans. They get to buy merchandise. They get to see their favorite voice actors for the characters that they play on stage, doing little fun skits and stuff like that. So it's not always just, when are we getting this game? When are we getting that? That being said, I do want to talk about my predictions when it comes to things. And then I definitely invite everyone who wants to chime in to leave a comment down below as to what you think. I will definitely be interested to see what people think. So first things first, I guess I'll get the elephant out of the room. Let's talk about Tales of Arise real quick. The last trailer for Tales of Arise we got was September 15th, 2019. It was the 2019 Tokyo Game Show trailer, which really was just an expanded trailer of the one we got in E3 that year. And then, obviously, the initial release date for Tales of Arise was... Let's see if it has it. Does it say it on the trailer? No, I think this is when... Do they have it in the description here? No. Originally, it was supposed to come out in 2020. I don't know what the initial kind of release time was supposed to be for 2020, but Tales of Arise was supposed to come out last year. I feel like if we didn't have a pandemic, the game would probably already be out by now. As for when I think it could really, they're definitely going to give us something because it's been a year and so this was September, October, November, December, January, February. So that's almost a year and a half with complete radio. They've said some stuff like, oh, we're still working on it. We're still working on it. It's moving at a steady pace, blah, blah, blah. But they haven't actually shown us anything. The last thing we actually saw to kind of like tide us over was this girl, right? Where is she? This girl right here. We have no idea who she is. She definitely comes off as kind of like, age-wise, as like an Elise or Carol type character. So definitely going to be kind of like, or Laphicet, I guess if you're a newer fan. So definitely going to be the young character of the group. And then we have no idea. Usually Tales games have a minimum of 6 characters, barring some, special cases. So at the very least, we can expect 3 more characters to be revealed. Now, are they going to slowly reveal them up until release time? I don't know. They might just show us them all at once. They might not show them at all. Who really knows what they're going to do? But yeah, so this was the last time we got any sort of kind of tidbit of information or anything. So what do I expect from Tales Festival? If I want to be on the optimistic side, I want to say we'll get a definitive release date, because the last few kind of things they've said about it were that, things were moving along smoothly. And if they were just, the way they worded it last time, I think it was because originally we went through most of 2020 thinking that it was still going to come out by the end of 2020. And then, like, right before 2020 ended, like a month or two before, they were just like, you know what, it's not going to be ready. We want to push it back just a little bit longer. So now we have this assumption that it'll come out this year. Hopefully that means that it was just like, there were a few things they had to patch out. And they really just didn't want to give us more information until they were sure when it was going to be done, so they could just be holding on to that information. If I'm being optimistic, I would say maybe around, like, maybe we could see, like, because it is going to be a worldwide release. This will be the first time a brand new Tales game gets a worldwide release instead of it coming out so, like, for Berseria, it came out in August of 2016 in Japan. And then I think it was like the very end of January, early February of 2017 is when we got it here in the West. So that's still, roughly a good, like, 6 months gap. So the fact that we're getting it worldwide is actually pretty good for JRPG. You look at a lot of other franchises like the Trails series or Ys, which I've been playing recently. Or even stuff like Persona and stuff. Like, Persona is always like a year behind. Same thing with the Trails and E-Series. They're always like a year behind. So, Tales being one of the franchises that's getting it this close is actually really, really good. But, it's really hard to kind of say, like, I want to say, by the end of this year. But at the same time, it's like we don't know the opening song. We don't know who's singing the opening song. We haven't seen any of the visuals for it. We don't know the other 3 party members. We don't know anything beyond, like, the very minimal plot points. We know 2 characters from 2 different worlds are basically going to, obviously Alpha and Gion, are basically going to come together and try and make things, better for both worlds. One world kind of looks down on the other, as it's kind of like a whole Sylvain and Tetheala situation. Or you could even say it's the same as it was in Xillia, where, one species of people, I guess you could say, looks down on the other one for being primitive and stuff like that. But it's really hard to say. I'm going to be optimistic and say, like, August, September. Is what I expect. If it comes sooner, then great. For all we know, Tales Fest could happen. They could, because a lot of games lately have been doing pretty quick after their announcements for release times. I think it's still like Pokemon. Like, for example, when I'm recording this, Pokemon Day is tomorrow. So I expect them to announce a new Pokemon game, and then whatever game that ends up being would come out in November. So it's still like, like 8 months away. So with Tales, I'm really not sure what to expect. If they're really, like, almost done, then, maybe we could see it by summertime. I feel like I'm being really optimistic with that. But for the most part, I really don't know what we're really going to see. I hope we get a brand new trailer. None of this recycled stuff. I don't want to see any of these frames again. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see, him in front of Ifrit again, all that stuff. We've already seen this. I wanted to kind of focus on, some of the other characters we're going to be getting. at the very least. And I do want it to kind of, maybe not in the trailer, but I want them to specify, because they did say something in one of the blogs that had me a little concerned, that skits wouldn't be exactly handled in the same way they always have. Now, of course, Berseria's skits were treated a lot different than the previous games. Berseria's skits were kind of used in place of cutscenes for a lot of the time, whereas skits, you know, in the older games were mainly just meant to be like funny little side things so you could get to know the interactions between characters. But a lot of skits, even in Zestiria too, were just, you know, kind of helping to move the plot along, which is what skits aren't usually. So as long as skits are still here in some fashion, you know, even if they're, I guess, used as plot devices, I guess I'll be fine. But I don't want them to remove skits completely, because that's kind of like what Tales is known for. If you take away skits, I mean, well, it's really kind of another generic JRPG series at that point. So that's pretty much what I want to say on Tales of Arise. I kind of went off on a couple different directions there when it came to that. So I think that's it for Tales of Arise. You know, hopefully it comes out this year. You know, the sooner the better. But also I don't want it to be a half-assed game. So hopefully they work on it as much as they can. I'm going to talk about some quick other things that are going on with Tales right now that'll probably get some, you know, trailers or something. The 4th anniversary for Tales of the Rays will be going on, so we'll probably get the PV for next month during Tales Fest. Some mobile games are getting collabs with Tales right now, like Exos Heroes has a collab going on with Tales of Vesperia. And then there's the Tales of Hysteria collab that's going on. What's the game called? It's like Crystal something. Here it is. It's with, let me see if the other game is sharing it. What's this thing called? Obviously Japanese only game. I actually don't even know what this thing is called. It's like Crystal something. Anyways, they have a collab going on with Hysteria right now where you can get this girl in the game, and then Eleanor, Richard, and Zavid all have alternate outfits from that game. What else we got going on? Yeah, so I talked about the Exos Hero stuff. Crestoria just announced, you know, I don't think Crestoria is going to do anything huge. I'm sure they're going to have some kind of special login bonus for Tales Fest, as well as Tales of the Rays probably will. Which Tales of the Rays also has their 4th anniversary live stream on the 28th. But that's obviously before Tales Fest stuff. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is actually a really big thing. Crunchyroll has decided to translate the Tales of Symphonia OVA. So if you don't know, Tales of Symphonia had an 11-episode anime that I think it went from like it was around like 2008 to 2011 is when it was animated, because they did make a joke in one of the like credit kind of OVA things where they couldn't use the studio the whole time because the Xillia cast was using it. So it was kind of like a joke that the anime was made at the same time that Xillia was being worked on. And they also put the Fantasia anime up there as well. So the fact that they're doing something that we never expected, like the Symphonia OVA getting localized legally in the West, tells me that anything is possible when it comes to what we could get. If Tales Fest happens and they announce Destiny Chronicles, which would be, you know, if we got a Destiny Chronicles, it would be basically the definitive edition, or what is it? Tales of Destiny DX or whatever it's called. So it would be like the newer version of Tales of Destiny, and then we got Tales of Destiny 2 to go with it. I think that, you know, could happen. We could get Tales of we could get a trilogy pack thing where it's just Destiny, Destiny 2, and Rebirth, the 3 biggest cases of games that people want in the West to be able to play in terms of Tales games. I know a lot of people are hoping for a Tales of Symphonia or a Tales of Abyss remake. I don't think that's possible during the point of when Arise is being worked on, because a full-on remake is a lot of work, and I think people underestimate how much money Bandai actually has for the Tales series, so I don't think that's possible. I do think we could see maybe some ports. You know, if they ported, you know, Graces, Xillia 2, Symphonia Chronicles, you know, stuff like that to current gen. like if we got them on PS4/PS5, or if we got the, you know, etc. Or even on like Switch or something, because Switch would be a great console, I feel like, for those games. I definitely think that would be possible. But I don't want to throw anything out the window because honestly, with the Symphonia OVA being localized still blows me away. You know, when I found out yesterday, I was like, wait, what? I didn't. It's a 10-year-old anime, and it finally got brought over here for people to actually watch legally. It's crazy. But I think besides that, that's pretty much everything. You know, everything else that's going to be shown, you know, there's going to be merchandise. Let me see if I can actually find the picture. You know, we can probably see it if we actually go to the Tales 25th anniversary site. For those who are interested in merchandise, anyway. Oh yeah, and they're talking about all the different, like, Another Eden obviously had their collab. Here's the picture I was talking about. Can I, like, open this? I don't know if this... Okay, there we go. So these are all characters that are going to have merchandise that you can go ahead and purchase. I actually did buy... I got the Sheena one. There's like a Sheena stand that I actually bought that's going to be sent to me later. Obviously, because it's coming from Japan. But they did have some merchandise that was up. And I'm sure a lot of people who, you know, have been tuned into Tales is aware that this was going on. I also like that this year they decided to include Kanata and Mizella as part of the characters here. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Alphen and Xion probably till next Tales Fest, because obviously their game needs to come out first before they start getting promotional merch and stuff like that. Speaking of Alphen and Xion, I guess the other thing to kind of talk about to close out things here is, you know, and this is the big question a lot of people ask me, when do I think Alphen and Xion will come to the mobile games? And the way it kind of works is they usually wait a few months, you know, usually close to half a year. Because if I remember correctly, I mean, obviously it was different for the English version, but for Tales of Link, I think Velvet and Laphicet were the first ones to come to Tales of Link. And I think it was like 6 months after it came out in Japan. But what was kind of funny is it was like right when it was coming out in the West was Velvet and Laphicet were pretty much in Tales of Link like right after the game came out. So it was a little spoilery, but it wasn't too bad. But yeah, so I think after that, that's pretty much everything covered. So I guess let me know what you guys think. What do you think we are going to see during Tales Fest? Do you think we're going to get Tales of Arise release date? Do you think we're going to see more gameplay? I guess that's the other thing. I do want to see more gameplay because it looks very kind of like... The gameplay looked very God Eatery, which makes sense considering, you know, Tomizawa is now working on, you know, Tales. But I don't want it to be like super God Eatery. I still want it to have kind of that Tales, you know, style thing, which Berseria kind of still had, but not too much. You know, with Berseria, they really just went, you know, where battling is completely free roam, and I do still want to kind of have that linear fashion to it, so I guess we'll just have to see what kind of goes on with that. But I think I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you guys think down below about what we could possibly see during Tales Fest. I think it'll be exciting your way. I think we'll definitely at least hear about Tales of Arise and, you know, what's kind of going on with it. I feel like there's no way we will not get a new trailer. It's been a year and a half. There's no way they're going to wait 2 years to give us a new trailer unless things are just really, really bad, in which case we'll still hear about it during the live stream itself or during the festival itself. So I will definitely be glued to my computer on the 6th and 7th of March to see what we learn about these games, and I will obviously bring all that information to you guys. So let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.